Hey guys, Brian Hilliard here, author of the best-selling book Networking Like a Pro and How to Overachieve Without Overcommitting. And today I want to talk about a point that we actually talked about in our book on Networking Like a Pro. Yeah, I can just see it. Just get it off. Hey guys, Brian Hilliard here, author of the best-selling book Networking Like a Pro and How to Overachieve Without Overcommitting. And today I want to talk about a point that we actually talked about during our book on Networking Like a Pro, and I think is super important because for a lot of people who are entrepreneurs or sales folks or whatever the case may be, you guys are trying to obviously build your business through word of mouth, and networking, again, obviously is a big part of that. And one of the points that we brought up in the book is this idea of diversifying your network. And I want to kind of tease that out a little bit and give you an example of what that looks like. All right, diversifying your network. All that means is, in a nutshell, your network from a source perspective and from a profile perspective, really, you don't want it to be homogeneous, okay? So from a source perspective, if your only course of networking is at the chamber event, which we don't have a problem with, or if it's only at the, a service club, which we don't have a problem with, or if it's only at XYZ organization, which again, we don't have a problem with, but if that's your only source of networking, then in all likelihood, you're not going to have a diverse resource of people, simply because you're going to be seeing the same people, relatively speaking, week in, week out, month in, month out. Now, the second aspect of this diversifying your network has to do with the profile of the folks, right? You want to be able to go out there and you want to be able to, one of the things I am such a big proponent of is volunteering, because it gets you into a different profile of people. You're like, what do you mean by profile? Well, it's very, very easy. First of all, if you're going to that same networking group all the time, you're going to see the same type of people physically as well as kind of profile-wise. They're either going to be business people or they're going to be, sales people. They're probably going to be of a certain, economic class or a certain socio class, and all of that is fine, except for the fact that it's always going to be the same. When you go out and you volunteer, let me tell you what happens, like Habitat for Humanity or something of similar ilk. Let me tell you what happens. You get in front of a whole diverse set of people. You get in front of people who are corporate, people who are not corporate, people who are entrepreneurs, people who, maybe have a different level of education than you. Whatever, formal education, whatever the case may be, you are diversifying that network. Now, let me tell you something else that I really, really like when it comes to diversifying your network. Think of it in terms of what Dr. Meisner and we call linchpins, all right? Now, linchpins are real easy, because here's how this works. Linchpins would be where, like, for example, Dr. Meisner, he did his undergraduate work at USC. Okay, which is no problem. University of South California, right? And myself, I went to Duke. Well, we have a connection with the alumni from those two groups, right? Me with Duke, him with USC. We can be, by the fact that we know each other, linchpins to each other. Why? Simply because of the fact that, by definition, if you went to Duke, you didn't go to USC, and if you went to USC, you didn't go to Duke in terms of undergraduates. So by us knowing each other, we have the linchpins in this, and by us spending time to know each other, we are diversifying our respective networks. There's no reason why you can't be doing the same thing. You can diversify your network, like I talked about before, in terms of profile and in source. You can diversify your network in terms of, groups. Maybe a friend of mine up in Raleigh, Brian Richardson, he goes to a Red Sox group. He actually is the leader of a Boston Red Sox, which is a baseball team. That's a great way to diversify your network, right? These are people who he probably wouldn't have come into contact with, but they have something together that they call baseball with the Red Sox. So you can diversify it from sports, you can diversify it with volunteer, you can diversify it with something just as formalized as your school. There's all kinds of things that you can do to diversify your network, but the important thing is that you think this through and be more intentional with it, because I don't think a lot of people spend a lot of time doing that. All right, so hopefully that makes sense. Hopefully that's something that you can see yourself doing. But in the meantime, my name is Brian Hilliard, saying so long, take care, and thank you for your time.